and welcome to today's lesson, which is about verbs, and we're going to be looking at verbs specifically in Latin. But before we start today, there's a few things that we need to sort of revise, kind of get straight about verbs. So we're just going to start with a little recap about what a verb is, what makes a verb, and how we identify it in English. I think that's always a really important place to start. Now, as we've already seen in Latin, Latin is the language where the endings change. That might be very similar to what you've seen in other languages. So in Latin, the way that we identify verbs is from its endings. But we need to understand how those endings change. And those endings change depending on three principal ideas. And those ideas are number, person, and tense. Now, this isn't an idea that's unique to Latin, like I was saying. These things, number, person, and tense, are properties that English verbs have as well. So what are they? Well, we'll start really simply. We'll start with number here. So number is a property that verbs have, and all it means is whether a verb is singular or plural. So what does that look like in English? Well, in English, if a verb is singular, that means only one person is doing it. So an example of singular verbs would be I run, you run, or he, she, or it runs. Just one person is running, so we would say that verb is singular. If we wanted to make that verb plural, all we do in English is we change that pronoun, that I, you, or he, she, or it. If we wanted to say that a verb is plural, we might say we run, you all run, or they run. So that's the difference between a singular and a plural verb in English. Quite nice and easy. A verb then will also have person. And we've already touched on this by looking at singular and plural. The person of a verb is who's doing it. So in English, we just show that using our pronouns. So I run, I is the person there. You run, you are the person there. You are the person doing the verb. So in English, we would just pop a pronoun in front of the verb to show who's doing it. That's called the person of the verb. And then finally, we have tense. And tense is when in time that verb takes place. So some examples of tenses are present, future, and past tense. And within that, you can have lots of complicated different tenses. But just an example, we might say, I run. That's present tense, so I'm doing it right now. If I wanted to say, I run is future, I would say, I will run. That's something I'm going to do in the future. I haven't done it yet. Or if I wanted to put it into the past tense, I might say, I ran, or I was running. So that's what we mean when we say tense. It's when in time you're doing that verb. And all of those things, you'll notice in English, we changed the verb to show the number, person, and tense. Either with a pronoun, we either added you, we, they, or sometimes we change the word completely. I run to I ran. In Latin, we show all of those things, number, person, and tense, just by changing the ending. So in a way, Latin is almost simpler than English. So, how would we go about making a Latin verb? Well, I'm going to give you a verb now. So, here is my verb. My verb is amo, and it means I love. So this is a present tense verb in Latin. We can see that the person is I. So we know that the subject of the verb, the person doing it, the person doing the loving, is me, it's I. So there it is, our person. The tense is present, I'm doing it right now, I love right now. So we know that this is a present tense verb. And because there's only one of me, we know that this verb must also be a singular verb. So when you look at this verb, amo, then you need to recognise that it's a first person singular present tense verb. Now that sounds like a lot of information, but it's all really easy stuff to tell. And you might write that down something like this. So we do a 1 for first person, and then I just put a P next to it. 1 for person, first person, and then I would write S for singular. So it's a 1PS verb, a first person singular verb, and the tense is present. Now if I wanted to do a different sort of verb, what if I wanted to say, you love? Well, in Latin, what we have to do is change the ending. So we don't need to write a pronoun like we do in English. We don't need to write you. We just need to change the actual verb. So to write you love, it would be amas. And we've changed very little. You can see that we've still got the am, showing us that this is the verb love. But this time, we've added this S ending, amas. And this now means you love. So you can see how Latin is a little bit different to English. It's changing the endings there. And that's just an initial taster of how we manipulate and change verbs in Latin. So thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to next time.